Hi, Christian. I can see you've got the idea with assignment 2. My only little concern is, does the area of overlap on left appear to be a mixture of that very red and that very yellow? Sometimes, though, I will grant you, digital colors mix a little differently than we'd expect. Now, your transparency part, bottom right, looks really good. I've asked people to omit stroke from Illustrator files. I do see how leaving the stroke in this case shows us how it was built from rectangles. The depth piece works well with regard to color theory, and vibration works well too, only that your vibration effect would be greater if the colors were more similar in value. Hello, Teresa. I think you've got the idea with assignment 2, only that the rightmost orange bar should show some degree of transparency in the area of overlap, and I suggest you use the grid when lining up a design like this in the event that you choose not to use the template. Now, with the transparency part for assignment 3, things look pretty good. I wonder whether those 3 vertical bars could all be the same width, and is there a little flaw, a little problem where the white vertical bar traverses the wide white horizontal one? It seems that the shapes bleed together there a little bit, something to check on. Your depth idea is a good one, and the color theory is working. With vibration, I noticed that you have changed the purple color, which is quite fine, and we can even study the example and notice that it changes too, but it changes with regard to hue rather than saturation. And here you are desaturating that purple as you move toward the left, which means that the colors won't be fully saturated, which is when we get the most vibration effect. Well, hi, Destiny. You know, your assignment 2, the effect here is terribly subtle. I'd like you to go back to the assignment and take a look at what you're being asked to do. Now, these other pieces, well, they were submitted as a Word file, which is really a problem because people can't add your images to their critiques. So for future, give us JPEGs. With transparency, you've got the general idea. With depth, there is a little matter where the lightest color is desaturated, and then your medium value colors are saturated and the darkest are desaturated again. So this is not as clear a progression as we see, say, in Teresa's example. With vibration, you'll get the most effect. With a warm and a cool color, they should be similar in value and fully saturated. Hi, Joseph. The only little thing I'd say to you about this assignment too is when I take the color picker to the areas outside of overlap at the left, the dark greens, they're not matching the ones on the right. Your transparency idea is playful and fun. When I look to the area where green and yellow overlap, I don't see much change there, and that might be something you need to go in and tinker with because of the light nature of yellow's value. Looking at your depth piece, well, I really don't see color theory as a factor here, and you are also guilty of using some shapes that aren't actually rectangles. Now, with vibration, you've got the idea. When I render this in grayscale, I noticed the colors aren't the same value, and if they were, that would increase the vibration effect. Hi, Sam. I really like the colors you've selected. Things look quite good here. One small matter is that the area of overlap on the left doesn't really look like a combination of the 2 colors. We might imagine that that yellow would grow darker when mixed with the green. And another thing is that it seems as though your resolution could be a touch better. Well, hi, David. I think I've looked at this version of assignment 2 before. A couple of notes. Like Teresa, you're not showing us any transparency with one of these bars. So in the area of overlap, there should be some quality of transparency apparent. And then outside of the areas of overlap, the vertical bars should all have the same RGB values. Now, what a beautiful transparency piece for assignment 3. Just lovely. And the depth piece there on the left, the brown one, works very well. The blue and yellow vibration piece is designed nicely, and at first I thought you were guilty of not using only rectangles, but I'm considering that the yellow stripes could be rectangles on top. Well, hi Lena, this is an excellent assignment 2 solution. I really don't think it gets any better than this. I believe I've already looked at these very versions of your transparency and vibration parts to assignment 3. I noticed that you've made an adjustment to the depth part. And you must be tickled to be able to manage this sort of background pattern with Photoshop. I'm quite sure this is Photoshop that's done this for you. It is attractive, however, I'm not sure that it goes with what you had in the first place. You don't want it to steal attention from the main part of the design. That is, your background should behave like a background. Scott, with assignment 2, I'd say swap the right and center bars with the transparency in part 3. And could those 3 transparent gray rectangles be the same width and the same length, especially so they don't traverse into the white rectangle area? Now, with depth, this would be a perfect design if you reverse the colors. The lighter, more saturated color needs to appear to be in front, and the overlapping effect is so strong that it's prevailing here and you don't have the color theory on your side. Now, with the vibration piece, I can see there are some subtle adjustments made here. The vibration will be greatest if you've got a warm and a cool color, and both of these tend toward the warm. Your value is quite constant. I've discussed Christy's assignment 2 elsewhere. Please take a look in problems and solutions. Now, with her transparency piece for assignment 3, things look good. I like the way the peach rectangle is sandwiched between the gray ones. With depth, there is a little bit of a problem here. We've got competing qualities. It looks as if the lightest shape is overlapped, and according to color theory, the lightest shape wants to advance or come forward. Now, with vibration, things look good. It appears that you made another composition and sliced it up, then rearranged it, which is a clever idea, but I wonder if these shapes are all rectangles. Andrew, your assignment 2 looks good, and I noticed that there is quite a lot of drama, a good interval between the areas of overlap. This transparency piece is just stunning, and it appears that it's been laid out with great care and exactitude. Now, let's take a look at the depth piece. There's a little bit of a problem here. I'm guessing that you want the outer portions to appear as though they're nearer because they're lighter in value, but they are more neutral. That's to say that there is less saturation. So the center is darker and it wants to recede, but it's also slightly more saturated, creating a bit of a conundrum. Now, when I look at your vibration piece, well, I'm enchanted, and I also notice that the colors are almost all similar in value. Well, hi, Luana. I'm not so sure about this assignment, too. I want you to take a look at Lena's. She's got a pretty good example. One thing I've noted to a couple of people is that all areas of overlap should show some degree of transparency. Now, taking a look at assignment 3 and your transparency part, I noticed that you've changed this a great deal, and I find it to be more coherent since you've used some repetition. With depth, I think the same problems exist as before. It seems to me that the colors are the same, and color is what you want to use to influence depth. Vibration looks okay, except maybe the design could be straightened up just a touch. Well, hi, Wes. That same problem that was affecting Teresa and a couple other people is an issue for you too here with your assignment too. There at right, we should see the influence of the underneath color to some extent in the area of overlap. I'm not so sure about the color of your area of overlap for ambiguous. Doesn't seem to be just the color you'd get if you mix those two. However, I know that in the digital realm, sometimes we're taken by surprise by the way colors mix. Now, with the other 3 here, I believe I've looked at them all already in a draft review.